Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. And hindsight is 2020, isn't it? So this is a part 2 in a series of videos in which we go back all the way back to 2020 and basically look at and pinpoint some of the concepts, early concepts that seemed to fully develop and materialize into the present. These were some ideas and some concepts that in the beginning sounded crazy, didn't they? They just didn't sound like things that would ever amount to anything. But in looking back in hindsight, we can actually see that these things actually manifested into our reality. Now, I just finished watching the Matrix film, so we're going to be breaking that down tomorrow. I didn't want to mix in too much information on this particular show. I wanted to keep this separate from the Matrix decode that we're going to do. But let's get into some of these tabs. This is unbelievable. Now, things like this headline that you're seeing on your screen right now are simply unexplainable. Many people chalk this up to the way that the Matrix works, in the fact that you have stories like this dated back all the way to December 5th, 2016, as you can see on your screen here, talking about the very concept of warp speed and bringing a Pokemon sticker to market, but for a very different disease, in this case, Zika. Now let's read this and see if we can find any clues here, because this would be a definitive foreshadowing. I mean, what are the odds that the very campaign that was created by Thump would then become, we could go back in time and look and see that this very same thing was used in a different situation, but a very similar situation. A Zika Pokemon sticker is being developed at warp speed, but will there be a market for it? These were questions being asked in 2016. When top U.S. health authorities convened in late January to brief Barack Obama. This was all the way back during the Obama presidency on the Zika outbreak in Latin America. The post-meeting scuttlebutt was that the president was eager to push development of a Zika Pokemon sticker. The officials attending the meeting tried to convey an inconvenient reality. Real-world need and Pokemon development speed are rarely in sync. See, these were the problems that they were already realizing were going to happen. This is why they try to get these things to market so fast, because by the time, in the real world, by the time they actually get them to market, nobody needs them anymore, because these things take their course and do what diseases do. They trickle out, just like what happened with VidCo-19. The Pokemon stickers take years to produce, test, and license. The Zika, which had received scant study before 2016, was unlikely to prove to be an exception to that truth. And yet, a mere 10 months later, despite funding delays from a fraction pre-election Congress, 3 experimental Zika Pokemon stickers are already being tested in people. Interesting, right? How there are exactly 3, and then 4 years later there would be 3 Pokemon stickers developed at warp speed. Another 4 or 5 should start human trials between now and next fall. Larger phase 2 trials for several candidate Pokemon stickers are planned for 2017. One will begin within the next couple of months. Let's be clear. That is warp speed for Pokemon sticker development, especially in a case such as this, where the race commenced from a standing start. But will there be a market for the Zika Pokemon when the work is done? Well, they've created the market here, haven't they? The impressive progress so far underscores what scientists have predicted. The Zika is not a difficult target from the sticker design point of view, But even with an easy mark, look at this. So you've got this mark programming there. So even though one sticker from Inovio went from green light to serum injected into arms in a record-breaking 8 months, the current best-case scenario suggests an emergency use. So once again, same terminology, emergency use Zika Pokemon sticker. Our goal is to have enough data around some of the candidates by the end of 2018. Right before the spamdemic, right? So this goes on. I don't want to belabor the point. I just wanted to show you guys this first news article that doesn't seem to make any sense. It just seems bizarre that they would be talking about this all the way back in 2016. Now, that brings us to our next article, in which they describe, there's the Ebola. It did a total shutdown to hide just before a fresh strike. This is dated 2016. And in this article, they talk about Ebola as if it is some kind of time traveler. Time warp, they call it. The sequences also revealed a virus caught in a time warp. RNA viruses like Ebola make mistakes as they replicate their genes, but the virus from the Nidoween outbreak showed no new mistakes compared with samples taken 10 months earlier. To slow its mutation rate to a standstill, the virus must effectively have stopped replicating. Wow. A time warp. So there's something to this, isn't there? Portals. Now, tomorrow's show, when we get into the Matrix, we will be talking all about portals. Because that was what the Matrix, the new Matrix film, was all about. Now, this is a screenshot that we had picked up from a film, a 1981 film called Warp Speed. Many of you will remember this. 36 times 4 is 144. And this woman has this trace device underneath her ear in the film. Here is the actual cover, movie cover poster. And as you can see, this spaceship here looks like a bolus and a needle. And she has this thing, inserted into the back of her ear here. And here is basically the plot of this movie, is that this woman goes onto this ghost ship with all these spirits and all these things. And then they begin communicating beyond the veil. Because that's what this was always about. Warp speed, opening gates, opening portals. Now, we're going to be jumping around a little bit. But for those of you that are just tuning in, we're looking at hindsight. We're looking at images over the course of the past couple of years that in the beginning sounded like they wouldn't come of anything. And then all of a sudden, these things have manifested into our reality. So here we have a scene on the right from I, Pet Goat 2. Now, we had made this discovery back, I believe, a couple of years ago. This must have been 2020. And no one really knew what this scene in I, Pet Goat 2 was about. But after diligent research, we found that this was a mosaic inside the Hagia Sophia Mosque in Istanbul, Turkey. And no sooner had we made this discovery, an announcement was made. A letter was sent to Thump himself requesting something. I can't remember specifically what it was. A lot of information has poured through this channel over the last decade. But it was definitely telling us we were on the right track. It had something to do with this mosque being taken over. It was no longer an Orthodox church. It was turned into a mosque from an Orthodox Greek church, I believe is what happened. But as you can see, it's a match, this mosaic, and there was the entire Justinian aspect to this as well. I believe Justinian was the one who made this mosque originally. And this is supposed to be the conception of Jesus. I believe this is what is being represented here, Mother Mary and all this. But obviously this is not Mary in the dark robe and the red halo, which represents evil. So I wanted to show you that as she is sitting in a shell. So this was a major discovery that we had made. Now this whole Justinian concept ended up manifesting into the Janus. We figure out the Janus connection to Justinian, and that Justinian was about walls and gates. He would open the gate during wartime and close it during peace, or vice versa. Now here's a screenshot from V-Day. Utopia. Remember the Utopia series? The original Utopia series. There was what's called a V-Day, or a VACCINE day. Okay, and in the series, the original British series Utopia, which we decoded in full before the spamdemic happened, they were talking about this day where the entire world would receive the Pokemon sticker. The name of the company was called Kovacs, which is the very name of one of the Pokemon stickers that they're trying to give to Africa. Interesting, right? Now in this particular series, November 16th was V-Day. Of course, if you flip that upside down, you get, well, it's 1116, and you flip it upside down and it's 9 and a 1 and a 1 and a 1. So that series was full of programming about the reality that we're living in right now. Now here was another major discovery. The fact that Pet Goat 2, the 2012 animation, was really all about stickers. This is the manufacturing process for stickers. This is how they create them in the lab, from chicken eggs. And here you see an almost exact match as this woman is candling this egg during the manufacturing process of a sticker. Now, if you don't know what a sticker is, just go into the chat. We're on YouTube, so we gotta be careful. But there you see it, the two side by side. Now, when we first made this discovery, it was before the spamdemic hit once again. And in the beginning, people are like, you're crazy, it has nothing to do with that, that's something else. And then now we totally see that it has everything to do with this. The serpent in his fangs, piercing. 2 fangs, 2 doses, piercing. Now, we are going to be jumping around a bit. I'll try to put these in order, but now, here's the Justinian deception. Now, in the beginning, when we were looking at the 2 faces of Thump, a lot of people were troubled about that, weren't they? What are you talking about? You can't just say that. Well, it's become very clear, hasn't it? The 2 faces. The man who claimed that his children did not have a good experience with stickers, and then turned around and actually was the one that created the first 3 stickers of the world, opening a gate, opening a portal into a new time, a new 2020. Eyes opened, 2020 vision. And now it has become clear what the Gemini really is, right? opening the key to the pit? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Here's Janice here holding the key. The two faces. Now, here's one that we had discovered. We did a full decode on this. Escape from LA. Now, we did escape from New York as well. Snake Plissken. But in Escape from LA, a fake virus is sent out, which sickens Snake Plissken. He's blackmailed. He's told that that they infected him, but in actuality, it wasn't even real. And then in the actual film, as you can see here, they're all wearing face visors, face shields, the very same face shields that we would be wearing in 2020. I guess this is all just coincidence, right? Now, here's an image. When we had this epiphany, Holy Spirit opened our eyes on this. We were looking at needles, and we realized that hollow needles are just like the fangs of a serpent. That fangs that inject venom are actually hollow. And that's when images like this started making more sense. The serpent raptor on the egg. What do you think he's doing? Injecting his fangs. The seed of the serpent versus the seed of the woman. How are they going to do it? How is the enemy going to mingle themselves with the seed of men? Well, I think we just figured it out. Steel with watery clay. What do you think needles are made out of? Steel. Or iron. Now, this was another discovery that confirmed that this was all about portals. This is a screenshot from Stargate Sg1. You guys will remember the series. There was this wheel. The wheel would turn and these different symbols would engage. And the people of Stargate Sg1, the crew could actually travel through the portal, travel through the gate to different worlds. And in doing so, they would go around the universe trying to create unity, but usually would end up just messing up a bunch of stuff, wouldn't they? Well, this discovery in a particular episode that we had found that actually related directly to Thump actually had his name encoded in these chevron symbols. Couldn't believe it. Now, what are you talking about, Casey? Now, the center of your screen is me taking the letters on the right that you see on the right of your screen, and all I did, you can do this yourself. All you gotta do is erase this part, and you take these letters and you just play the game called Put the Letters in Place. Now, I rotated the letters, but I didn't do anything else to them. All I did was take these chevron letters, pull them over here, unscrambled them, and rotated them. And there, in plain sight, is the name of what is shaping up to be something very bizarre. A president who somehow has figured out how to get through time. TRUMF. Now these, of course, these triangles here we identified as the buildings, Thump Tower and the IBM building, which form a pair of triangles from the sky. They point to Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower, by the way, in Google Earth. Direct hit. Let's keep going here. Now, the past is the past until it isn't the past anymore, right? Hindsight is 2020. Many of you will recognize this man. That's John Casablancas, modeling guru and well known to like girls that are not of age. Let's put it that way. Known, he had spoken in interviews, well known, and this is where Thump sent his daughter to go to modeling school. And then gifted this guy with a seat on his board down in South America to run his South American business after his children became adults. John Casablancas. Now, this one was a shocker. Another crazy discovery that just blew me away. This is an actual king, Manfred Lanza. And look at the side-by-side. Look at the side-by-side. Actual screenshot from the actual king, Lanza. Ruled from 58 to 66. 1258 to 1266. Just so happens to be the years or the floors of the Thump Tower. 58 floors, 66 floors. Now, what does Lanza mean? It means spear. The spear, the serpent in the chest. That's what the name Lanza means. More confirmation. We truly do live in a matrix. Now, there's another discovery. Remember, this was iPetco 2, going back to 2012. And look at what the boy's wearing on the ground next to needles and pills. This is called a lungi. There it is right there. You understand how this has everything to do with the sticker? Before we realized it did. A lungi. Your lungs, you know, can't breathe. It is right there. Exact match. India. Remember that? India had a really tough time with VidCo, didn't they? All right, on to this next tab here. I should probably check in with you guys. Been on here for a bit. Make sure we didn't get booted off. But I wanted to get through some of these tabs. There you are. Welcome, everybody. All right, let's keep going with this, because there's more. Now, one of you said, Casey, you've got to look at 40 Wall Street. It's a building that Thump purchased. And the reason why this interested me is because this particular building is topped with copper top. Okay? And we'll be talking about this more tomorrow, because the whole copper top battery concept, humanity used as some kind of power source, dark entities feeding off of our pain, off of our heartbreak, off of our desires, off of our love. This is all very real. And I believe that a lot of this energy travels through the air, as well as through phone lines, elevators, and pneumatic tubes. Now, the word pneuma means air. So it's the word pneumonia comes from, because you can't get air. Well, there was a particular episode of Person of Interest that was filmed inside Thump's building. And here you see the pneumatic tubes. Now understand, the progression of technology over the last several hundred years in terms of communication. See, communication does two things. Communication is supposed to bring people together, but it also provides a source for the entities to tap into. Think of it this way. They just come up to one of these tubes and they just suck and siphon the energy off of it, is the way this works. This is why no one can breathe, or they don't want you to believe you can breathe. It's all spiritual. They want you to feel suffocated because they're drawing energy off of us. And so technologically, these pneumatic tubes were one of the first, methods that were used to communicate. And guess what they were mainly used for? They were mainly used for banks to send money. What is money? Money is your labors. It's your energy, isn't it? So look at this as the green serpent's circulatory system, moving the labors of the people, feeding off of your pain and your suffering. You see? Do you see the problem here? Do you see how that's so much different than living in God's nature and living off of the things that He provided us? Natural growing of food, natural foraging, drinking of the waters from a spring. Think about how opposite and opposed that is to laboring for someone else and then giving this money and taxes and all these things. Two completely different cycles of life. This is the cycle of death, whereas the cycle of life is more like the way Jesus lived His life and His disciples. Foraging, walking about, not worrying about what you eat or drink, not piling up all of your potential in money, locking up your potential in money. So this is from a person of interest episode, and there you see them, and they're actually down in the vault is where they're at. Can't remember the exact plot of it, but it was filmed in 40 Wall Street, the copper-topped building. In the episode, it was all about quarantine, lockdown, shutdown, correction reset, artificial intelligence, and copper. Now, over the last hundreds of years, many of the major cities had these pneumatic tubes. I think Paris had a system, and New York had a system, and these tubes basically connected Wall Street. Well, eventually, these same pathways were replaced first with copper telephone lines. Why change the pathway if the pathway's already established, right? So they simply added copper telephone lines. After that, fiber optic. And now here we are today, and now these messages travel through the air, don't they? So, might want to check out that person of interest episode. Let's go to the next tab here. Now, this is from the top of the coat of arms, Thump's coat of arms. And there you clearly see the spear, the lanza, popping through the chest. The serpent in the chest, which really amounts to demon possession of the serpent. Now, many of you will remember Operation Warp Speed and the logo. When we broke this down, it's shocking to me that there's just been so many discoveries And still, you'll get people that trickle back onto the channel and are just upset at me because we're covering, because we have negative things to say about any president. But I think to myself, how can you defend these people any longer when they've shown their hand? How many more times do you have to see it? This is the anti-corona symbol. And I'm sorry, but this is the symbol that is used to depict male and female energy. Notice how the male and female energy of this symbol on the right is very similar, suggesting that the two will merge. Small single anti-corona symbol. Its use primarily for direct healing, as it is more focused and penetrating healing applications. And then you see the female symbol here. Large single symbol has more gentle, nurturing, and general healing properties. Okay. This is the cosmic cross. Remember, Apollo brings death, but then he also brings the cure. This has to do with chakras. This has to do with your soul. Anti-corona is what this is called. Now, this rabbit hole is very, very deep. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show because there's a little bit more to that symbol. But does this look familiar? The needle and the bolus. This is from the 1939 World's Fair. This was an actual billboard from the Thump family. And on here you see RX, which means prescription, in his name, encoded. Now, to give you the backdrop, Queens, the whole story behind all of this, in the World's Fair of 1939, they were preparing the world for polio. Now, again, the big thing behind polio was that there was a simian flu that infected these polio stickers. In other words, simian means monkey. There was an actual monkey flu. And this is why they don't use animals to culture a lot of this stuff anymore. But I'm going to show you where Thump knew all about this. I'm going to prove it to you today. We're all a bunch of monkeys to them. The home of tomorrow. Now, many of you will remember this decode we did because this whole home of tomorrow thing, let's blow this up a little bit better so you guys can see this, also dovetails into Back to the Future. Remember the billboard? It said the home of tomorrow. And the billboard is very similar to this one. Back to the Future. And there you see the twin pines. Pine there and a pine there. An actual image of the billboard from 1939 World's Fair. This goes back to Queens. The pylon, I think it was called the trilon, and the perisphere, I believe it was called. I'm going from memory here, you guys. I have no show notes today, so if I'm talking a little bit slow, I wanted this to be intimate, and I wanted you guys to see me recall these things from memory so that you can understand what's going on here. The trilon and perisphere. Now, there's actually a syringe called a trilon. It's all coming back, isn't it? Now, this is from a film called Ghosts Can't Do It. This was a comedy, starred Bo Derek and Anthony Quinn. But here's the problem. Thump made a cameo in this film, One of his first cameos. Here he is here in film. No big deal, right? Well, this was about a guy who dies and his ghost comes back, and I think it haunts Bo Derek, and it possesses different people, different men, to keep her happy because he can't let go. This is the same theme we've been talking about. Demon possession, the serpent in the chest, right? Well, the movie starts out with the guy who dies getting an injection. This is an actual screenshot from Ghost Can't Do It. The opening sequences. The guy dies, and of course the rest is history. Here is the Perisphere and Trilon. Now, many of you will understand that this scene looks very familiar because this is the place where Men in Black was filmed. This has since been replaced with another globe, an iron globe, which is see-through with all of the countries on it. But look at this. This almost looks like a spike protein, doesn't it? Remember, this whole fair was all about preparing humanity for the polio sticker. The simian. And a screenshot from Trump Card, October 29th, just before Halloween. And one of the first subjects, Simeon says, in case you thought I was making all this up. This is from the TV show Trump Card. You can look this up on YouTube. I've got the timestamp here and the title of the video. Simeon says. Simeon says. Here's Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Simian Apes. And here's Charlton Heston, the Omega Man, no doubt, in a mask, muzzled, so he cannot speak against the apes. Is all this starting to sound eerily familiar? Where the apes become the apex predators. They become the arrow. They become the spear that pierces humanity through a virus. And no doubt Charlton Heston arrived in a spaceship that looked like a spear. Looked like a lance, an arrow, as he pierced through the Planet of the Apes. Out with the old dawn and in with the by dawn. The new dawn. This was, many of you will remember, this speech during the Eggnog the Nation. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it. This was Amanda Gorman. The new dawn. Blooming. The lotus flower blooms, doesn't it? What do you think that's about? It's about spirit possession. Remember Obama's eyes in iPetco 2 as the lotus opened. He was being possessed. Again. Wow. Now, I promised we'd come back to this Warp Speed logo. And this is the clincher. This seals the deal. Again, discovery we made here is a gift of the Holy Spirit. Hopefully this show will help you realize how not always the best information goes viral on YouTube. YouTube has algorithms that control information, don't they? But fortunately, you guys are here today. You're getting the Cliff Notes version of everything that we had discovered over the past couple years. And maybe you can give it another go so people can wake up. But this is an actual MacLeod family coat of arms. And on it, you see the actual Anticorona symbol in plain sight. Now, what does MacLeod matter? Well, that is the maiden name. This is the family name of Thump. This was his mother's name, MacLeod. Connor MacLeod, Clan MacLeod. We did a whole Highlander series looking at the MacLeod clan. Okay? There can be only one. Isn't that what they call Neo? The one in the Matrix? Well, look at this. An eagle. No, it's like a falcon. Is that a falcon or an eagle? And a crow. The two sides of the coin. The good and the evil. The two sides of energy balancing in the middle for ultimate control. With a leg in a circle or triskelion. Never stops. Is the same symbol that's on the Warp Speed logo. Olaf the Black, the King of Isle of the Man. Olaf was the great ancestor of Thump, predated MacLeod. MacLeod was born out of Olaf the Black. Wow. Just reading through here to make sure we don't miss anything. Oh, here we go. Liaud. Now, Liaud, as you can see here, is short for Leodis, which is Lewis, the Isle of Lewis, which is where his mother was born. Liaud, Lewis, Leodis. You can look up that vernacular for yourself, but I confirmed it with the research that we did on that. Interesting. Let's keep going. We're starting to close in on the end of some of these tabs. Another shocker. This is from the latest season of Westworld. Problem is, this particular scene came out before the spamdemic started. They showed children playing in a playground with masks on. I guess they were a little too early in their programming. You can look this up. One of the earlier episodes of the last season of Westworld. You can find the episode with the children playing, wearing masks. The parents were wearing masks too, by the way. A little too early in the programming, weren't they? Had your exam lately? Failure to report illness is a crime. I think this is also from Westworld. Now, here was a weird phenomenon. This, right after they brought these Pokemon stickers to market, all of a sudden, they've discovered that there are neurological issues with VidCo-19. Well, the problem is at a certain point, I mean, how can you tell the difference as to what the cause is? You've got people who have gotten the sticker mixed in with people who got VidCo-19. And they started running all these stories about neurological issues and psychosis. They weren't running these stories in the middle of 2020. Look at this one, dated 3/22. They started running these stories after the Pokemon sticker hit the market. Now, before we get into these last few slides, let me make sure you guys are with me. We'll get into these last few slides from the film The Invasion, because this is all about an invasion against humanity, isn't it? The invasion of the body snatchers, invading the soul taking the step. What is the step? Well, the step is the step protein. When we made that discovery, that had me going, wow, if this gets out, this will help change everything. So these are actual screenshots from the 2007 film, The Invasion. And this woman says, if you just cracked the new virus, how are you ready with the Pokemon sticker so quickly? Look at this guy looking at her. Yeah, good question. How did that happen at warp speed? Well, these are the opening sequences from the film The Invasion. What do they show? A solar corona from 2007. Nicole Kidman plays in this film. And in the film, they basically force everybody to go get the sticker. And it's the aliens, the invaders, who are the ones who make the sticker. And when you fall asleep, they take your step. And that is the campaign throughout the film to get people to get the sticker. Take the step. Just do it. Just take the first step. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? In hindsight, how they just kept begging us to just take the first step. Just all you need is one. Well, now all you need is two. And now you need booster seats forever. Now, if you don't know what the step is, let's look it up. See if it shows up in here. Medicine. Go down to medicine. Arts. Let's see. Science, technology. Here it is. No, that's not it. Okay, we'll have to look that up a different day because it's not going to show up here. Basically, a protein in the brain. And once they take it, you have no more emotion left. Your step can either be too high or too low. Let's keep going here. This is from a sci-fi series called Helix. Helix definitely denotes DNA, doesn't it? This was all about an alien virus, same concept. And there is a big giant spike protein. Problem? Came out in 2014. Remember this card, this Illuminati playing card? Enough is enough. With Thump here. Well, when you take a closer look, you see spike proteins surrounding him. Can't make it up. Take a look for yourself. And I think this is one of our last slides. What happened to this? This is an actual headline. Why aren't more doctors talking about the Vidco sticker and our periods? I guess they want us to forget about that. So here we are. Now, I've got probably one more part we can do on the hindsight to bring us to the present. I didn't want to overwhelm you guys with too much stuff. And tomorrow we'll break with the Matrix decode. I've got probably 6 tabs pulled up, and I've got some screenshots from the, not screenshots, but clips from the Matrix, some actual clips that I'll play for you, along with the magnetic copper top universe. So these are the tabs we're going to go over tomorrow. Okay. Just show you them real quick. We're going to be talking about money, copper-based money. We're going to be talking about Keanu Reeves, what the Reeves actually means. It's about portals. And that will be tomorrow's show. We'll do full analysis for you guys on that. I'm actually excited about that. Let's go into the chat. All right. So what does all this mean? Well, we live in a reality of good versus evil, actions and reactions, and every choice that's made sends ripples out into the matrix. Okay? And it's mathematical to a certain degree. It's spiritual and it's mathematical. There are many places in the Bible and in the book of Enoch that talk about actions causing the death of men. It's our actions. It's our knowledge of our eyes being opened to the things that were forbidden. These are the things that cause our sin and death. And so the enemy knows that, and he feeds off of that. He feeds off of it. The best thing you can do is stay out of his way and give your life to Jesus Christ. So, yes, kind of like the butterfly effect, Marion. Absolutely. Yes, reaping what you sow. And you can't escape it. We think we can escape it, but we can't. It's hidden just beneath the surface. Now, God can make good things out of pain and mistakes. He really can turn it around as soon as you give your life to him. He can take the negative things in your life and turn it into a positive. My life is a prime example. I used to sell pharmaceuticals. Unknowingly placed, got to be careful here, did bad things in the name of science, right? Pushing things that I thought that I had no idea. I trusted the matrix back then. And look what God has done with this channel and all of you, and how he's worked through us to reveal truth out of something that could have been so dark. I see other people, that are fully bought and sold into this matrix. They invest all their time and energy into believing the devil, believing the laws and things that he puts in place, the aspirations. You know what I'm talking about. When we're all born into this reality, we're taught from an early age that this is what success means, and people want to be like the movie stars on TV. I've seen people in my life striving for these things, and you look at their life and they're completely unhappy. They're completely unhappy because they're plugged into the matrix. They're at the mercy of the devil working in their life. They have a form of loving God, but they don't really love God, because if they did, they'd be able to walk away from all of that. They pretend to love God, but then the things that they strive for in their life, new cars, money, self-gratification, and these are the people that have taken it the hardest with this whole spamdemic. I didn't really skip a beat. I don't like concerts. I don't need to eat out. Some people, this was a really big deal because this defined them. These are all the things that they wished for and wanted, and it destroyed them. So, God can do things in your life. All right. Let's go into the chat here. Now, I'm probably about 70%, you guys. I'm still not 100% after I got hit, but I feel like cleaned out, I guess you could say. I feel better, like clearer. I don't know how to describe it. Just tired, just a little bit tired, but definitely all good. What do you guys want to talk about? Yes, have a form of godliness, but deny the power of God. Okay. Yeah. Jesus is all we need. Wood stove. Yes, absolutely. Probably one of the best things you could buy, a wood stove. Thanks, Apocalypse. I love you guys too. Ooh. What would Jesus do to criminals running the show? Well, the devil rules this world for a time, and then in the end, Jesus will come back with a sword, and he will rule. And between now and then, yeah, there's going to be a lot of suffering, but he's already won. He's already won. The only difference is, will you have faith until the end? That is the question. His plan is already in place. There's nothing that the enemy can do to you that he hasn't already done and tried to do to Jesus. So he's already suffered. Yeah, the whole gee whiz thing, the rollout, January 5th. Wow, interesting, right? We knew this was coming. We were talking about this in 2020 when we were all locked down, and then thump past the gee whiz and beyond. And everyone was scratching their heads while we were on lockdown. It was so inappropriate. Why would you push something through like that in the midst of all that chaos? Well, now we know. We even went back to the cell phone website and we looked up Mar-a-Lago to see if they had gee whiz, any networks there. And there were none. So it's good for all of us, but not for him. I don't know if that's still the case, but interesting nonetheless. The electronic fence. Skynet. Just look at gee whiz as Skynet. It's exactly what it is. Real-time law enforcement. You can't have real-time law enforcement until Skynet is up and running. Because you need data, you need real-time data, you need to be able to react to that data, dispatch based on that data. Eventually, they can hook in the autonomous drones into that system because they'll have the data they need. Impossible with 4G whiz technology, but completely possible with 5G whiz technology. We're entering the Terminator scenario as we speak, thanks to your wonderful former president. In plain sight. Here's the problem with law enforcement. Efficiency and compliance. As they begin to come up with unfair laws that are not popular with the people, and as the people begin to realize that, and they start talking to each other across the aisle, and they say, I didn't vote for that. And then the other person goes, I didn't vote for that either. How did that get passed? As that begins to happen more and more, then they're not getting the compliance from law enforcement that they want to enforce this stuff. And as the numbers dwindle, we've seen it happen over 2021, 2020. Don't want to comply with the mandate. They quit. And so, where does that leave the controllers? They have no one to control for them, do they? Isn't it a lot easier just to pay a few mercenaries and give them almost 100% efficiency in their policing? How do you give them that 100% efficiency? With a gee-whiz fence that can identify perpetrators with cameras, dispatch in real time. There's no escape. Now, you might think that's a great thing. Oh, that's going to be great for crime, until they start coming up with rules that you don't agree with. Like, for instance, what's stopping them from saying, well, okay, we're done joshing with you guys. This is just going to be mandatory. Okay. No, I'm not doing it. Oh, sorry. Well, we have 100% efficiency. As soon as you walk out of your house, your phone or whatever it is that we're going to give you to confirm or deny whether or not you got the Pokemon sticker is going to mark you as soon as you walk out of your house. Boom. Gee whiz technology identifies the threat, and you don't need people patrolling. You don't need cops patrolling, because they'll be just directed to police where the need is based on the network, based on the AI. They just send someone right to your house within seconds. Within seconds. Do you see the problem here? There is such a thing as too much technology, or too much technology in the wrong hands, in people that can control other people with it. And you can't say no to it, because you won't have a choice anymore. Perfect policing. This is their goal. Later on, they'll bring in the drones and all that. Then it'll really start to look like the Terminator scenario. They'll probably hold off on that for a while. But basically, you'll see police departments with 20 people in it for an entire city, because they'll just sit in a car and wait for the reports to come in. That's all they have to do. Now, will people stand up? We didn't stand up for the spamdemic, did we? Not in the way that people thought. We're willingly giving up our jobs. Not willingly, but, where there was no fight, really. People just go, okay, you're going to fire me? Okay. Now, what do you expect someone to do in that situation? You can't really do anything, but we're to the point now where people still don't believe what's happening. They still can't believe it, or they think it's going to be over soon. I hope people start to wake up. Hope they start to wake up. Okay, let's go back in the chat here. So I don't know what's going to happen when they roll this out, but definitely it's not a good thing. Definitely not a good thing. All right, you guys. Okay, I'm going to get ready for tomorrow's show and type up some notes and get you guys all up to speed for tomorrow. I love each and every one of you. Have a great day. Take care and be safe.